Welcome back to the Empowerment Climb. I'm your host, Dr. Lacey C. Robbins of Robbins Nest Consulting, a firm located here in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin, providing for you exploratory coaching, facilitated learning, and results-based consulting. Well, in this particular episode of the Empowerment Climb, I want to get into the conversation all around the Great Resignation. Yes, everyone is still talking about it, how people are disengaged, and what is that actually costing you as a leader. So long story short, your team is miserable. This is why they are checked out. But as a leader, here's how you can fix it. This is part one in a series. And so be sure to join me back again next week as we keep the conversation going. So this time of the year, we can often find all the different types of polls that are letting us know the big reports or the countdowns from the previous year. Well, this year is no different, and Gallup has come out with the State of the Global Workplace Report, which is for just focused on 2022, and it's letting us know how our employees are feeling. Now, we all went through a lot making it through the pandemic. Some might argue we're still in the pandemic, but what that has resulted in is our employees showing up stressed, disengaged, and really trying to figure it out. Is this the opportunity or the job that I want? This stress or this figuring it out has resulted in what a lot of people are talking about as far as quiet quitting and even in some cases, quiet firing. But I believe what ends up happening is it leads to a direct impact in our bottom line as leaders. In fact, so much of an impact, $1 trillion effect, because when workers aren't engaged, they're simply not productive. If they're not engaged, think about it. Think about your past experiences. If it's a position or a job you're not enjoying, you simply are not going to plug in. And so you might show up, but you are not going to produce at the high levels that you typically would for a position that you're enjoying. So here's the big question. Why are employees still coming to work, but feeling as though they are not ready to be prepared nor engaged? Well, according to this particular research from Gallup, the number one reason is people just simply feel as though they are being treated unfairly. Yes, issues of diversity and inclusion are still showing up, but here is how you can start to fix it, and we can do so together. So above all else, you have to think about, what is my workplace culture? We know that culture can be created and it can be cultivated, but it's our responsibility as leaders to ensure we create an atmosphere that allows that to happen. So as a leader, first and foremost, you have to simply take responsibility for how your team and staff is showing up. What does that look like exactly? Well, in some instances, it's having the tough conversation and being able to say, hey guys, I missed the mark this particular time. Please help me to redirect so that we can be able to move this organization forward together, this team, whatever the case might be. You also want to think a lot about, are there some bias bullies that are trying to take over in your organization? And by bias bullies, I mean that as women, we tend to find ourselves in something called the double bind, where we're either seen as likable or competent, but never can be seen as both. Well, if you are a leader, it's your chance to champion for those individuals so that when they are bringing a new idea forward, that helps to create a culture that new ideas are accepted here. And then last but not least, we want to continue to establish and to promote diverse initiatives. Why would I want to feel included if I don't feel as though I'm accepted? So you have to keep this in mind as the leader. When someone does bring something new to you, creating inclusive practices so that it is provided, it is permitted for these new ideas to come forward. And above all else, creating a safe atmosphere so that should an ideal falter or should failure happen, that we use this as a time for learning experiences, not a moment of castigation, but really making sure that we give people a chance so that they can continue to try again, so that you, in doing so, continue to create a culture that allows people to cultivate their own experiences and their own learning, and in doing so, moving the whole team forward. Did this particular episode help you out? Maybe you learned something new. Let's keep the conversation going down below in the comments. And if your organization would like to welcome the Robbins Nest to be able to support your workplace culture, be sure to scan the QR code and it'll allow us to start to connect immediately. You can also email us directly or contact us with any of the information here on the screen. Last but not least, if you want to keep this conversation going and hear my continued thoughts on the topic, you can join me in the $1,000,000 Inner Circle. This is our private membership group in which we can keep the conversations going and sharing additional information, including full podcast episodes on ideas such as this. As I always say, from process to practice, grab your stilettos and let's go. Thanks again for joining, and I'll see you soon.